The meeting to order. Roll call, please.
President Byrne,
Here.
Trustee Markwart,
Here.
Trustee Cook,
Here.
Trustee Hebda, Trustee Williams,
Here.
Trustee Schultz,
Here.
Trustee Schwartz.
Here.
Okay. We have a quorum present. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Proclamation.
Yeah, I know, I'm getting there. You know. Okay. Where's the original? The one I have to sign? Proclamation. Oh, I got it here. Oh, I
He's
have
got
many
it.
of them. I
He
have
found
many
it.
of them.
He's got it. We got it.
Hey, they all mysteriously seem to be signed. It's a miracle.
How about that?
Yeah, it's okay. All right, would the, oh, yeah. Any citizens wishing to address the board tonight on any matter other than what's gonna be on committee of the whole, consent committee of the whole, then we'll call you then. You get something totally different. Well, then, yeah, have a stand at the mic.
This one working? Yeah. Hi,
Want to state
everybody.
your name, please?
Keith Nathan, Plymouth Farm subdivision of Vernon Hills.
Yeah.
I'd like to address everybody. I'm familiar, I've talked many times with David Brown over the past few years and Mike Allison. And I'd like to address everybody regarding the horrendous situation that's been ongoing now for over 3+ years with our streets that are owned privately by the Plymouth Farms Association and the total mismanagement of the total mismanagement of the association by McGill. And it's just it's an utter ghetto. It's pathetic and it's disgracing the whole area. Westwood's right across the way. Westwood's beautiful and lovely. You walk across the street to Plymouth, anywhere in Plymouth Farms subdivision other than Plymouth Farms Road and Creekside where obviously the village owns, and it's absolutely desecrate. The streets coming apart left and right everywhere. They don't patch them properly. They just tap them in and they're 2 months or 2 weeks later, they're all full of giant, even bigger holes. The sidewalks, the driveways, the buildings themselves, I mean, I know you're not responsible for any of that, but our streets need addressing. The association is doing nothing but using the money they're getting improperly, one way or the other, however you want to determine it. So, I mean, something needs to be done to, obviously the homeowners can't afford to take a huge association fee increase to take care of it, so we need some kind of assistance from the village and this association management company to finally get something done so our summer doesn't become a disaster area for more gang activity and more decrepit other things besides the tracks, people crossing the tracks over there. And that's
So what
it.
in your discussions with Dave Brown, did Dave explain to you what we can and what we can't do?
Yes, quite aware with all the areas.
Okay, well, if, you know,
Other
this
than
one we haven't discussed in 20 years?
Approximately.
Yeah, we kind of took care of that one a long time ago, but, so Dave, what pray tell did you say to this gentleman?
I agree with them in terms of the condition of the streets. They're private streets, therefore we can't use public monies for that. We've reached out and we've tried to, working with Mike Allison, trying to find block grants, some other type of funding to help us, help out the homeowners association. Very poor condition in terms of the private roadways. You know, if we could compel them through property maintenance to fix their roads, etc., The problem comes down to how much money does the association have to put into their roadways? And I think that's the catch-22 situation we're in. We'd like to help them. We can't pay for private streets out of public funds. And so that's where we sit.
Trustee Cook.
Manager Allison, or maybe council, I know we have building codes. We do go in when homes have problems. We've done that several times in the past. What kind of legal pressure or code pressure can we bring on the association over there to find a way to bring stuff up to what would be acceptable? Because I know we go in, if a building is falling down in a neighborhood, we do go in there and that's private property, and have ways to work with the homeowner to bring it up to code. Is there anything we've got that can go after streets like these?
Well, it's all going to go back to the property owners of the private road, because we'll seek enforcement. It will be against the property owners and the property owners association. The association's probably going to say there's not enough money in the, being assessed to fix the roads. But that still leaves the individuals who own them, which are all the unit owners, responsible. So once we go down that pike, it is the property owners who are going to have to pay to fix it.
Well, because they did have the full funding reserve. That was all changed about in the state statute, something like 10 or 12, maybe 15 years ago, that you were supposed to have reserves that were funded to take care of things like roofs and streets. I mean,
Well, and then that kind of triggers a potential inquiry or, say, litigation against either the management company or the HOA board, claiming somebody's mismanaging it. If the board is getting the proper assessments and collecting it, and then the association management company is mismanaging it, there's a lot of internal work that the residents of that association need to do. It's really outside the hands of the village, other than enforcement, which
is difficult.
will
Yeah.
force each of those owners to come up with it.
Yeah,
So-
I guess what we could, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, the problem is if we go in there and enforce it, it might cost you the extra money in the form of a special assessment as well, so.
It definitely will. That's the
Yeah.
that's the remedy, a special assessment.
I guess what we could do is set up a meeting with, and I think Dave's right in his analysis, and we talked about this about a year or two ago, is to meet with the homeowners association, and we can talk about conditions, and then we can see what their feedback is, and then talk to all of you and see if we want to pursue some property maintenance. But I think it is one of those balancing acts where they probably don't have the reserve funds sufficient, which is pretty typical of many homeowner associations and townhouse condominium associations. So then the question is, do you do some enforcement action to compel them to, upgrade an area, which everybody would like to see in an absolute sense, but then someone has to pay, and it probably is 100%
Well,
HOA.
or we could go back to, reopening, the private versus public streets, and
Right.
see who would want to participate. But the problem with that for you
Yeah.
is we would basically, try to bring them up to a subdivision code. So this could be, involve, all the infrastructure and such, such
Yeah.
as sewer and water.
Street
and,
lights and,
and then your curb, gutter, sidewalk, street lights, and then get into the pavement, and we don't know what the, what am I thinking of, the,
Pozzolanic base, maybe.
yeah,
Those-
I don't
those
know,
are
is
about
that
the
Paz
time,
over there?
Could be in that
It
area.
could be Paz
Yeah,
base,
Pozzolanic
up.
base,
which
and-
would be
and-
real bad.
which means it'd have to be built from the subgrade up.
right,
probably.
which is obviously in an area like that extremely intrusive and extremely expensive. I mean, the other thing is Dave went so far as to look at CDC grants. The problem is you need to have people's cooperation in gathering incomes, and the income standard's pretty low, you know, so the question would be, would the area qualify for any grant funds?
Who's the accounting firm that works?
McGill Management,
And then they got somebody that they also use for,
yes, they use McGill Management employees to do most of the work. And
what kind of money you got? You got anything?
if I remember correctly, Cliff was on the board last till August. If I remember, the reserve is about 179,000.
A lot for what?
The roofs.
I don't know, I didn't hear. Come up here. Would you pull that mic up a little bit so we can hear you better?
Where's
when
the
you're-
hand?
Not that far.
The handheld one there?
The handheld one's up there too.
Why'd you turn that one on?
Try that one too.
It's not on yet, I don't think.
It got used a lot today.
There we go.
There you go.
Cliff Young, first of all, I am no longer a board member. There was approximately 250 in reserves, but the present board decided to do more roofs, replacements. And off the top of my head, about 161,000, in addition to what was done by some insurance claims. So they did like
Well, that's not a lot.
37 roofs or whatever in 1 year. So,
Yeah, okay.
so a lot of the money had been used for that. So they have raised the assessment, $23 a month, times 296. That's the maximum 15% that they're can do, and so they have raised the assessment times 296 units. So there is more money coming in, but
Right.
I believe the last time the streets were done, maybe I've been there 35 years, maybe 25 years ago, somewhere in the vicinity of $400,000 to $500,000 to grind and,
Overlay. Yeah. Okay.
When oil was inexpensive.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I can help. Following Mike's cue, we can meet with the homeowners association. One service that engineering does provide is, we can look at their streets for them. It won't cost them, they don't have to hire an engineer to look at it. We can do an assessment and give them feedback. If we are representing them, this is how we would spend spend the money. So we can work with them to try to at least have a program for them so the potholes are addressed. And I think it really comes down to they're spending money on the roofs, they're spending money on other things. The roads are taking a back seat. So we certainly can meet with them and try to put together, here's a program we think you should implement, and then work towards having them do so. But they have to come up with a way to fund this somehow.
They seem to address it and promise at board meetings to do things, but it never occurs. They might come with some bags from Menards to fill the potholes, but that's not too sufficient.
Right. Okay, well, we'll have staff work with you within, as best we can, and we'll at least find out, what the damages are to do it right.
There are many other issues where, at this point, Robert Kenny, the village attorney, and Lake County code violations are just astronomical because they have not fixed the cement, the pavements. There is definitely at least 1/3 of the village, of the 296 units that have crawl spaces that are damaged from them not properly maintaining the cement and the brick stoops outside the houses. So all the crawl spaces, and if not more than 1/3, I'm sure it's more than 1/3, are damaged and mold and possibly non-livable. put it that
So
way.
none of the home, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
None of the homeowners have gone to the board and complained about this.
Many homeowners have gone to the board and they just always.
Okay, you have elections every year.
Yeah, and. the
And
election's
nobody,
always
the
done
same board
officially.
keeps getting reelected. So there's a problem with the residents. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but
there
you
is
have,
definitely a
as a
problem with
resident,
residents
you have to
too.
accept responsibility for this.
But then again, Barbara, obviously, that's why I'm here.
Right.
We had for over 4 months last year before the election, and now I just found out last week, we've only had, as the association bylaws state, we're supposed to have 5 sitting board members at all times. We only had 2 board members for 3 months last year. One was in and out.
Have you gone and volunteered to be a board
We only
member?
have 3. I asked to be appointed, and they didn't address the issue. They ignored it.
Then
They
I think you
tabled
need
it.
an attorney.
Yeah.
You need an attorney.
Well,
I
that's
own a
what I'm getting
condo,
ready to
Tom owns a
do.
condo.
Yeah, that's
And
what
I
I'm
can tell you, when we didn't have enough money to replace the roofs, I was assessed $135 a month to
Mm-hmm.
pay for the roofs. I now pay, I believe, the highest assessment in town, which is over $300 a month, to make sure that my accounts are funded.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot
You've
more
got to
units.
get
than
more people involved. We'll do what we can to help you through our Public Works
I
Department.
appreciate it. That also is kind of
Absolutely.
a
But
problem
you've
because a
gotta
lot
get
of
the
the
people
people there
involved.
are minorities or undocumented.
You know, we don't want to see that side of town, or that portion of town go downhill.
Yeah.
We certainly want to do what we can do to help you, but it sounds like to me that nobody has been, pardon me, raising hell for a long time. If you've got that big of a problem over there, you better get the residents involved quickly. And that's going to take work on your part and Cliff's part, knocking on doors.
You know, what I was gonna ask too, and I don't, you might not have this answer, but I mean, are there the NOCs, the non-owner occupied type situations?
Yeah.
With a lot of rental units and such?
There are a lot of rental units very close to, before August, I think it was very close to the max allowable under Illinois Condominium Act law.
What percentage is that?
Is it
You
30?
guys know?
Cliff?
You know? Okay.
I think a third
You
is
have a right to get that mailing
35%.
address and mail those people pictures and words of you better get involved because your investment is about to go down the drain.
Yeah.
And I would
All right,
strongly
we
suggest
will,
you do
we will
something.
help you as much as we can,
Appreciate it.
and, try to give you some guidance and direction, but Barbara's right. This is,
It's
kind of tied into your bylaws and
Well, I
the
think-
board and the management company,
Yeah.
Right.
I think the best, I mean, even though it would be a tremendous burden and encumbrance on the people there, but I think the best option, if it can be done, is for the village to come in and make it public and make everything up to code, no matter what it costs the homeowners and what discomfort it costs and what it costs getting the association audited, whatever. That needs to be done. I think that's what you're gonna find out
Yeah, that
in
one,
the long run if it's not.
I don't think
taken
we got
care of
enough
properly.
money in the bank to handle that one.
Yeah,
I mean, because if we, that's a slippery slope
Yeah.
and doing work on private
Yeah.
properties is not within our charter
I-
or authority or,
Yeah, I have the feeling what he means is for us to come in and say,
Make it
you have
public.
to fix
yeah,
this,
we could
period.
do that,
But if we do that, it may come down to the point of saying, this house is inhabitable.
Yeah,
A lot of people will be out of a home.
Honestly, I think it's safer.
Okay.
The
We'll look
way
into
things
that.
are there, it's much safer because kids are gonna be playing out, they're already playing outside. If they trip in one of those huge potholes or in the sidewalks that are cracked all over, they could be killed if they hit their head on the
Yeah.
cement or
We'll,
on
we'll look,
All right, well,
we'll
you-
look at it from the community development, the property maintenance aspect of it too, so we'll
Okay.
do that also.
all
All
right,
right,
so-
appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
okay, thank you. Any other citizens wish to address the board on any matter,
Get the building
as that
department
gentleman
involved
did,
in
and it's not on committee of the whole?
Frightening, frightening.
My computer went to bed.
Uh-oh. I share with you.
No, no. Okay, well, that's okay. The next item is the proclamations for the Vernon Hills Girls High School Basketball Team. Could you ladies all come up here? Proclamation recognizing the second place state championship of the Vernon Hills High School 2013 Girls Varsity Basketball Team. And we have Coach Bretner here also. Is your assistant coaches here?
No, you cannot make it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna read one proclamation. I'll give these all to you, Coach. And yeah, if there's parents who want to take a picture, you can come up here. Or if is it okay. The 2013 girls varsity basketball team finished the season with a 31-3 record, the best in Vernon Hills High School history. The Cougars upset top-ranked and three-time defending champion Montini in the semifinals, but lost to five-time state champion Quincy Notre Dame in the championship game. The Cougars were conference champions, making it the first time in their 13-year conference history that a Prairie Division team won the conference championship. Whereas the team members are Bree Bauman. Is she here tonight? No.
We had a few kids who couldn't make for church.
Okay.
events or sporting events.
I know, well, Mary Bennett Swanson's not here. Alina Lahaki, I know, is there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, there you are.
Shannon Healy. Okay. Catherine, how do you pronounce? Kazwar, are you here? Okay, good. Sydney Smith, Lauren Webb, Katie Bretman. Yeah, how you doing? Okay. Casey Fernbach, Haley Lieberman. Okay. Monica Bauman. Oh. Kristen Gugliami.
And you killed that one.
Kelly Hull. Mia Polinsky. Okay. Tori Smith. Okay, well, therefore, I, Roger L. Byrne, President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Vernon Hills, hereby proclaim that the Vernon Hills High School 2013 Girls Varsity Basketball Team be congratulated for their second place finish at the IHSA State Finals, dated this day, April 16th, 2013. Congratulations, ladies. Does the coach want to say anything, Coach Bretman?
First of all, Mr. Marquardt, great job yesterday. Glad to see you home safe. The girls were just great all year. As you can see, 31-3, you got to be pretty consistent to be able to do that. And the milestones we achieved were fantastic. These girls put a lot of work in. Great group of kids to be with. And as I said to a lot of people at postseason is, when we beat Montini, we won with class, with dignity, and we didn't rub it in, we didn't do anything but. And then when we lost the next day, we still lost with class. So if these girls can continue that in their life, they're going to be just fine.
Absolutely. And a lot of you were on last year's team, right? Yeah. So that was very exciting, and needless to say, we're all very proud of you. So.
Hopefully we can be on your agenda next year at this time.
You very well might be. All right, Coach, you want to do the honors with with the team? Thanks. All right, okay, thanks. Yeah, absolutely.
Great job. Thanks, Coach.
Now, if you want to go, you can. If you want to stay, you can. But I'll give you the option, so.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, good night.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's so cool.
Next is a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, Larry Nackman. Where do we have that?
Some of those blue ones.
Where's that proclamation?
It was there, wasn't
Is it on this?
There, it's in,
Which one?
isn't that it?
Oh,
Ah,
What?
he's out there. Let's send it
yeah.
out.
Where's the proclamation? Other, okay, Larry Nakrin, who's seated down here, and what do you got on, a peacock colored shirt tonight?
Blue.
All right, and then a coordinated tie. All right, this is a letter from Government Finance Officers Association. Is this it?
Yes, it's just really a letter
Oh, okay.
recognizing Larry. And now that you asked me, can I interrupt and congratulate Larry and his staff? I'm sure Larry would agree that it's the whole management staff that works on the budget, but Larry and his people are diligent, and Larry, you all have faith in his ever hard work on the budget, investments, everything, so thank you to Larry.
Yeah, Larry, and then, yeah, this is a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting has been, how many times have you won this, Larry, and your staff?
Oh, certainly over 15, but I can't remember the exact number.
Okay. The certificate of achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management. An award of financial reporting achievement has been awarded to the individual's department or agency designated by the government is primarily responsible for preparing the award-winning CAFR. This has been presented to Larry Nakrin, Finance Director. So, okay, Larry, well, congratulations.
Thank you. And
You wanna
also,
say
of course,
something, Larry?
and also, of course, to a great department, great
Which
finance.
is Jay Cherie and,
Jay Cherie and Peggy Kapersky and Mary Grampo and Jay Cherie Tazwala.
okay, all right.
But
Yeah.
without your leadership, you wouldn't have gotten it, so thank you, Larry.
Well, and without the board and the help of staff also.
Thank you.
All right. Next is 2013 Arbor Day Proclamation, Tree City USA Committee, Community. Having recognized the economic, aesthetic, and environmental value a thriving community forest brings to its residents and visitors, the Village of Vernon Hills has and continues to be committed to reforestation of land within its corporate boundaries and to prudent management of its existing forest resources. Yeah, we're embroiled in that one up to our eyebrows right now. The Village of Vernon Hills shall continue to enhance its reforestation, forestry management policies and practices, and shall continue to dedicate financial resources over and above Tree City USA requirements. The Tree City USA flag shall be flown at the public buildings on Arbor Day, which is this year, April 26, 2013, to honor those residents and volunteers who have participated in program activities sponsored by the village. It is therefore resolved, I, Roger Byrne, President of the Village of Vernon Hills, do hereby proclaim that the Village of Vernon Hills shall officially observe Arbor Day on May 11th, 2013, and encourage citizens to participate in appropriate activities and to take advantage of the benefits of the parks and other natural areas in our community. So, okay. What my comment earlier was, you know, we're taking down ash trees. What are we gonna take down, 500 this year? In the parkways?
In the parkways, we're looking at 550 ash trees alone that we're removing, and we've found trees within the nurseries that were available for replanting. So within 2 weeks, we'll start getting truckload after truckload of trees, and then my staff will be out planting those
And what
trees that were
species are we,
we
a variety?
a wide variety. I think that's really what we've learned from this experience and Dutch elm disease is you really need to have a diverse urban forest. So, you know, the typical trees, the mall trees, maple, ash, locust, and lindens, that's what developers planted back in the day. We're not just replacing those, but we're replacing with Kentucky coffee trees and a variety of other trees that will help us with more diversity if another pest comes through, like the emerald ash borer.
Yeah, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is it 3,600 trees in the parkways alone or on public property that we need to take down?
Just within the right-of-way.
Yeah. So that doesn't include the park district?
It doesn't include the park district, it doesn't include our open spaces that we own, like Harvey Lake, the strip behind the EJ&E.
Yeah.
Those are just parkway trees, 3,600.
Okay. And I'm sure all the homeowners are aware of this by now, that, you know, they may have them in their backyards or front yards, so. Okay. Let's see here. Public Service Recognition Week. May 5th through the 11th. Public Service Recognition Week was first celebrated the first full week in May since 1985. Public Service Recognition Week is a time set aside to honor the men and women who serve our nation as federal, state, county, and local government employees. Americans are served every single day by public employees at the federal, state, county, and city levels who do the work that keeps our nation working. Many public employees, including military personnel, police and border patrol officers, firefighters, embassy employees, healthcare professionals, and others, risk their lives each day in service of the people of the United States and around the world. Whereas public employees also manage our local communities, educate our children, help our nation's veterans, and care for our wounded soldiers, investigate crime and prosecute criminals, keep our food safe, negotiate international agreements, develop new technologies for renewable energy, manage our public parks, protect our environment, design, build, and maintain our roads, bridges, and infrastructure. Whereas day in and day out, they provide the diverse services demanded by the American people of their government with efficiency and integrity. Public employees are doing important work that positively affects all of us every day. I Roger L. Byrne, and the Board of Trustees do hereby proclaim May 5th through the 11th, 2013 as Public Services Recognition Week, and encourage all citizens to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels, federal, state, county, and city. Okay. I have no further proclamations. The next report is Village Manager Allison.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request from the Park District for our assistance with police and public works at their third annual Little Bear Ribfest, which I think is like the 23rd, 24th of August. And again, it's an example of intergovernmental cooperation. I know when I'm at Summer Celebration, there's 4 of their guys there at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night cleaning up and working with us. National Night Out, the Park District, their people are there, their maintenance people helping the police with operating that event. So it's probably about a $4,000 to $5,000 cost between Public Works and police for the 2-day event. So anyway, I would recommend that you concur and that we assist the Park District with that event this year again. That's
fine. I mean, you need a motion on this?
I don't think, if there's consensus, we have the money in the budget to fund them over time.
Trustee Cook?
No, this is something that the first year we said, let's experiment with it, see how it goes, and it's been a good event, so whatever we can do to help them.
Right.
Does the board concur?
Yep.
Yes.
Trustee Sanders?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, let's help them out.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next is the omnibus vote agenda. Is there a motion to approve items A through, do I actually have Z?
Mm-hmm.
I made it
Get
to
that,
Y.
yep.
Okay. A through Y.
So made.
There's a motion, is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Comments, questions, anybody want anything pulled? If not, roll call.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda.
Motion carries. Okay, unfinished business. Approval of Kemper voucher list of bills dated March 5th, 2013, in the amount of $10,968.84. Is there a motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
Motion and a second. Comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustee Hebda. Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz.
Abstain.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of public hearing, budget and budget resolution fiscal year beginning to May 1st, 2013 and ending April 30th, 2014. What's the total amount, Larry? I mean, yeah.
The minutes.
Oh, it's a minute. Is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's it. Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Trustee Hebda. Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of village board minutes of April 2nd, 2013.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second. Comments or questions? If none, roll call.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Trustee Hebda. Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
Did Schultz?
William Schultz.
William Schultz.
William Schultz.
God bless him. Okay, motion carries. All right, and then next is, let's see here. Approval and passage of resolution, 2013-07, resolution authorizing approval of a concession license agreement.
No,
Waiver of.
you skipped D.
All right, I was gonna go, all right. Approval and passage of resolution 2013-057, resolution adopting an annual budget for the village of Vernon Hills for the fiscal year commencing May 1st, 2013, ending April 30th, 2014. Larry, what's the total amount?
For all funds, it's $25,254,090. And for the general fund, it's $19,655,473.
Okay, everybody's clear on that? All right, comments or questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So made.
Motion is second.
Second.
Trustee Cook?
What number did we plug in for the service grants in that? I don't remember whether we
For the
went
what?
back and revisited that. Did we finish that?
Yeah.
For the what?
Service grants.
The service grant.
Oh, we did.
I think you put it together, we'll have it on the next agenda as the numbers that were requested, because it's still greatly reduced because the Y obviously is an applicant. I'm sorry, I don't have it with me, but our intent was to put it on the first agenda of May
As
so that Larry could disperse the funds.
Okay.
But there were all the numbers that were on there, including the University of Illinois Extension, which we had some information on that we sent out to.
Larry, you want to respond?
Oh, I did want to just say that we're using, for budgetary purposes, the same number as last year, but last year we also had to fund the YMCA out of that, so
But we'll still have the opportunity then to maybe alter the numbers a little.
Oh, sure,
We can always have better.
we could put on unfinished business for
Yep, please.
the 7th
Okay.
of May.
Because
Thank you.
we did not have everybody here at that time.
Yes.
And we have to
Yeah.
pass the budget tonight.
It was my fault.
No.
So we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
Roll call.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Trustee Hebda. Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
President Byrne.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, now it's E, approval and passage of resolution 2013-070, resolution authorizing approval of a concession license agreement and waiver of fees between the Vernon Hills Cougars Athletic Association and the Village of Vernon Hills at the Vernon Hills Athletic Complex. Are there any comments or questions on this? Trustee Schultz.
I don't see anybody here from the Cougars, so I guess I was kind of looking for some input from them concerning their financial situation. There's a lot of things I've been hearing, and I guess I'd like to get more information before we,
Well, you want to pull this?
I think that would be appropriate.
We can pull it, but I know in fact I shot at their areas, I think they will be leaving the building at 7:40. But I know they're off by about 40%, but their plans are to do the concession, but.
Yeah, I mean, we.
Well,
could-
there's another number of other issues embedded in this, the forgiveness of past debts, the forgiveness of the light bill, and some other things besides the concession agreement. So,
Is that accurate? Who could speak to that?
I
Staff?
can. Yeah, as noted in the notes I
Right.
sent out to you, we have not received any money since 2007 on the concession. And, you know, we've kind of consistently talked about that. And understanding that even at that point, for most of the years, it was 2,000 or under, you know,
Right.
again, it's not a lot of money. That's one piece of it. Then the other piece of it is the letter you saw attached that requests a waiver on the sports lights cost, which is about $12,400.
Yeah.
And then I received an email that I shared with you, and they didn't point blank ask about it, but, you know, the sports lights, the Stingers have paid their fee, and I think it was about $2,500 approximately for 2012.
Well, yeah, what we'll do is, we'll pull it, and then put it on for committee of the whole, and invite the other parties.
or
Right.
Or
when
have
is
a-
the next liaison?
Or have a liaison meeting real quick.
Okay, yeah, I mean, this, unfortunately, as I alluded to here, has been sitting around for a
Languishing.
couple of years, yes,
Yeah.
languishing for.
Well, I
so
mean,
it's
I'd
not
rather,
a-
I'd rather, we gotta come to a head on this and,
Right.
get closure. Trustee Cook.
The other question to add into the mix, and I know we've got several people here tonight from the Stingers, is exactly how they fit into this. And I was having trouble figuring out in reading the resolution if they're fit in at all or how that works.
Right.
So
Well,
I'd like some clarification on that as well.
right, and we structured this agreement before Scott Comator, before Scott sent me that email. The agreement, the village attorney and I, essentially, it's the old agreement, sans the whole provisions on profit or sharing of proceeds, let's call it.
Right, okay.
You know, so the other element of it is they operate all the concessions on the premises, which is the site
The
we
site.
control, and the concession stand, they get their right of first refusal for events like the lacrosse event, that kind of thing.
But
In
when
that
when it's an
proposed
outside
agreement.
event, I have no problem with that, but when it's an in-town event such as like the Stingers tournament and that, I'd like to see what we can do about making it maybe a little more fair.
I think one of the comments
Agreement.
too is that, and that's the thing, was equipment wise, so I know they mentioned that the equipment that's in there is all the Cougars.
Right.
So again,
They
when you
won't.
have outfits, I don't know, so I think it's
All
better.
right,
if we
well,
get
It's
everybody
worth
together.
discussion though, is what I'm
Yep.
saying, and I, rather than seeing organizations such as the Stingers that are from town be shut out, I'd like to see us, there are enough unanswered questions for me on this that I'd like to see us.
I don't have a problem with having a meeting, but as trustee Margaret stated, they did buy all of that equipment and put it in there. So we do need to sit down and talk to them.
Yeah.
Mhm. No, I understand it,
Yep.
and I'm not saying they necessarily have to give
Yeah.
everything, I just,
I've gone through one surprise in my tenure, and that was the YMCA. And I don't want to go through another surprise. So, I want to make sure that everything is moving forward, so.
What do you mean?
There's a lot of encumbrances apparently on the Cougars. They have a lease that, for other operations. They're trying to enter into contracts with, I guess, the school district. It's my understanding they've made overtures there. And I don't know where their funds are, but if they're looking for us to provide additional funding,
And we
I
need
guess
some
I'd like
answers.
to
I agree.
know, what's going on.
Yeah,
Just
all
to-
right. Well,
Just so everybody's comfortable
No, it's
We'll,
fine.
s-
and
we'll
sees
set-
the light of day.
Back again. and-
Yeah, we'll set the meeting up for, I don't care if it's.
You want to
tonight.
do a liaison
Yeah,
meeting,
and
so
it
it's a
just-
little more
Everybody
working.
can sit down and,
thing, yeah.
It's fine.
chew the fat.
Oh, do I have to?
All right.
Well, if you're gonna do a liaison meeting, which would be who? Would be at the liaison?
Everybody, anybody that's
We could
involved.
make it a public meeting,
And then
I don't mean that to sound so negative, but we could publish it as a public meeting, and then all of you could attend.
Right.
And the primary people involved would be Mayor Byrne and Trustee Williams. But everyone could come and, of course, participate. If that's your desire.
That's fine, in my opinion.
Well, either that or minutes, so we're all up to speed as to what happened.
Correct. So
Well, yeah.
So you'll declare a public
Well,
meeting.
we'll
and
do,
everybody
yeah,
can
the
be there.
minutes, we'll,
Right.
yeah,
All
absolutely.
right,
We'll do
well,
minutes and send them out.
We'll try to set it up next week or the week after then,
And
depending
we'll
on
see how
people's
quickly
schedules.
with the
Yeah.
Park District, yeah.
Okay,
Send out some dates.
And there's some dynamics going on, I think, with the Park District too, with affiliated groups, so we'll,
You guys
you know,
want to do them all at once?
I'll let
Get
them
it over with?
speak to that. but,
there's going to be a word I'd like be able to let them speak.
Yeah.
I mean, since they're here, I don't have a,
Looks like you ran the marathon too.
I'm too old.
Good evening. I'm Rick Weingart from the Vernon Hills Stingers. And, all we're asking for here at our tournament, which is a major fundraiser for the Stingers, is that we have rights to sell our concessions at the VHAC. We're not asking to use the equipment. We do tents and everything outside and on fields 5 and 6, and that's all we're asking for. And we just don't want to be shut out because of this new agreement. We just want to have the ability for our tournament to have rights to do concessions at the VHAC, as we do other parts within the Vernon Hills. And again, it's a major fundraiser for our organization.
So, just sell things at your fundraiser, or during your fundraising event.
Pardon?
Yes.
Selling at your,
We sell T-shirts,
Fundraising
yeah,
event.
yeah,
Right.
drinks, T-shirts, that's about it.
sure, I understand.
And then we're just asking for the rights to do that for our fundraiser.
When is that? What day?
July 19 to 21,
I know it was in July.
yeah,
Yeah.
same as the summer celebration,
Right.
all right? That's all we're asking.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, we'll obviously notify you guys and we'll have a sit down and get it resolved.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty, what's next? F. Approval of passage of ordinance, 024.
Yeah.
Or an ordinance amending the Village of Vernon Hills Code of Ordinances, Chapter 3, Alcoholic Liquor Control, Section 312, License Classification, Section 3-2.
Motion to table?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yeah, okay.
On that concession agreement, we should have a motion to table.
Oh, yeah, I'm
I just
sorry.
made it.
Yeah.
I did already.
Oh, I'll second it then.
All right, there's a motion to table.
I'll second trustee Schultz-Williams.
Resolution 2013-070. Okay. Roll call. Is there a motion and a second? Roll call.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
aye.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Williams?
Aye.
President Byrne?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, last item on unfinished business, approval and passage of ordinance number 2013-024, an ordinance amending the Village of Vernon Hills Code of Ordinances, Chapter 3, Alcoholic Liquor Control, Sections 3-12, License Classification, Section 3-23, Closing Hours, and 2-26, Prohibited Conduct, in Chapter 25, Comprehensive Fees and Penalties, Section 25-3. Is there a motion to approve?
Second?
Motion is second.
Can we pass this?
Roll call.
Trustee Williams?
Oh, Trustee Cook.
Council, this is all basically aimed at the renovations at the mall and the movie theater and that to make sure that all their stuff is covered?
Yes,
And this covers what they need?
yes.
Okay, just wanted,
Armbands.
thank you.
Yeah, armbands
armbands
and all that good
Yeah.
stuff. Okay.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda? President Byrne?
Aye, motion carries. Okay, all right, so we need to bring back, the staff salary ranges for this year. So we're gonna go,
Exactly.
now what are we gonna go into closed session for? Discuss that, number one, what else?
Right. Well, there's several personnel items and then potential litigation. Those are two items. But under personnel, there's a number of items.
All right, okay, there.
And we will, my proposal is you would take action if you so desire after the executive session. So
Recess.
you'd recess
Yeah.
and then reconvene.
All right, is there a motion to recess the board and go into committee of the whole?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz? Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
President Byrne?
Aye. Okay, I kind of blew through new business and, however,
Yeah, that's okay.
all right, I call
Do it when we
the
come back.
committee of the whole meeting,
No, we're recessing.
We did already. Now
I
we're
know.
going to committee.
that's why I'm gonna start committee.
Oh,
We okay?
sorry.
She thought we were gonna do the thing.
Committee of the whole, okay. I like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. First item is approval of committee of the whole minutes of April 2nd, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Comments or questions? If none, roll call, please.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda? Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Short.
Short? Okay. We're,
What's your name again?
I've only been here 8 years.
Trustee,
Yeah, I'm still the rookie here.
well, you know.
Trustee Schwartz?
Yeah.
Again.
Here.
Okay.
Aye.
All right, I'm sorry, keep going. What do we got?
And aye.
And an aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Did I get everybody?
Who else?
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Is that it?
I think it's,
All right.
Mayor Byrne, I have a request from one of your colleagues. Trustee Hebda indicated she would be here like shortly after 8, and she asked if the request for the daycare use
until she
could
gets here?
hold until she
Okay.
got here.
All right, well, we got a
skip
motion,
that.
second, and a vote, then, item 1 was approved. All right, now, okay, so we want to do, grammar,
No, we gotta do B.
okay, pull that, well, not pull
No,
it,
pull
but
it.
No, no.
We're
All
gonna
right.
skip it and come back to it.
number 3, request from Southern Exposure Tan Spa and Boutique to operate an outdoor special event at 1340 South Milwaukee Avenue. Are these, is the petitioner here? Okay.
They're here, Mr. Mayor. I could give you a quick summary. The event would take place on May 5th. It's a Sunday, and it would be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We could let the owners of the spa talk about the event, but it's going to celebrate their 5th anniversary of business here in Vernon Hills. There'd be a 20 by 30-foot tent that would be located in the parking lot adjacent to the rear wall of the building. Amongst other activities, there'd be a DJ there. The owners will be on site to monitor the volume of the music and such. The event and the application is, along with the site plan, is attached to your packet. And again, I'll let the applicant answer any questions you have. And then I just wanted to point out one thing. I inadvertently placed this on the committee of the whole. This event is going to be May 5th. The next board meeting is May 7th. So if the board were to approve this, I would also ask the board to approve it knowing that the formal resolution will be on the May 7th agenda, even the event would be on May 5th.
Yeah, it's sure.
Well, because we're coming back tonight,
Maybe we could bring it back, yeah.
Yeah, can we bring it back without the document being?
I could write it while you're in executive session.
Well, we need to
It's
talk
not
about
on the
who it's
agenda,
actually
so
doing.
I think the
Okay.
better way to do it is to ratify it on the 7th,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Where's, I can't find it. Bear with me. Oh, there it is. No, that's not it.
Trustee Cook?
In looking at this, just food and, you want to serve this for hot dogs and that kind of stuff? No alcoholic beverages of any kind,
No,
right?
no, it's just going to be food. You'll have some contests. You have a mother and daughter look-alike contest. We'll be giving away some items. There'll be the first 50 tanners that come in. We'll get a free tan, and then and it's only for 4 hours. It's from 10 o'clock to 2.
I wondered earlier when I was looking at the drawing exactly what it would look like from the roadway and that, so I went out there tonight, and basically this, you'll barely even see this tent from Milwaukee Avenue because the building blocks, the two buildings block
Yeah.
pretty much that.
I don't
part
think
of
you'll
the
see it at all, except for about a 10-foot stretch as you're
Yeah.
driving by.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
It's gonna be
it's
in
not
back
like
of
it's
the
gonna.
building?
Yeah.
What's that?
In back of the building?
Yep, yeah, back around the corner of the building, so it's not gonna I don't think, I was concerned about, what it might do with traffic in Milwaukee, and then I don't think it'll.
No, isn't there a house back there? Behind them?
Not right behind there, no. No, this is around behind, this backs up to, this part of the parking lot backs up to the creek behind, La Rosa there.
Behind what?
La Rosa's.
Not the,
Pizza
this is
and
in the
spaghetti
southern
place.
building of that plaza.
Yeah.
Not the
Okay,
main.
You're
building.
right, you're right, you're right.
Across from the
Right.
antique store?
Yes.
somewhere?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Antique store?
There's an antique store there.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
This is at the very south end of the parking lot, backing up
Right.
to the famous creek.
Yeah, okay. Any other comments or questions? If not, is there a
Motion to approve.
Second?
motion and a second? Roll call.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Trustee Hebda. Trustee Williams. Trustee
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Is that it? Okay. Motion carries.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Next is a request from Pier 1.
No.
Oh, Goog's. All right, Goog's, former Agena and Angelo's 906 Route 45. Review and discussion of parking lot conditions and related code requirements. This is an addendum to, the liquor license hearing where we have to have a discussion regarding the upgrading of this facility, and of course, the actual owners, are they here? No. No. Did anybody invite them?
The owners were invited and of the property, and then also the owner of Gugg's, which would be the new restaurant that would be located.
Yeah, well, yeah, but this actually pertains to the owner of the site and the building, which he leases.
Yeah, that's correct. And the owner was notified, but is not here tonight. Now, I must say the owner is, I don't know, about 86 years old and won't drive at night, is what I just learned tonight before the meeting. So there may be some extenuating circumstances as to why she's not here, but she was notified, I can tell you that.
So there's no family member to assist?
Well, we,
Please come up.
I suggested to Mike earlier that probably we should contact her by mail. She does have a son that's an attorney and a daughter that's an attorney that obviously could represent her, and that's part of a trust. But I don't think you're going to get Ms. Economos at 87 years old.
That's fine. I mean,
So,
but.
I think probably the way to do it would be by mail.
You want to
Oftentimes she does
state
not.
your name for the record, please?
Daniel J. Guggenheim.
Okay. Okay. Trustee Cook?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, even if it's any kind of a representative, I don't wanna see this become a problem for you.
Correct.
But at the same time, it's something that we need to address, and they need to understand that, that we're serious about addressing it.
I had mentioned it to her, and, unfortunately, there's a language barrier. And that's why I would think that one of her members of her trust or children would.
Well, okay, you know, if you ever spoke to the son or daughter?
No, I have not. All my dealings have
Oh,
been
we
with
got
her.
their
Well,
addresses?
yeah,
and
Mike, I mean, is there somebody we can contact to let them know that this is for real?
Well, yeah, I mean, what I'm learning tonight was what you're hearing right now. So what Mr. Guggenheim is going to give me some information that'll help me contact her son, and then we could do one of two things. We could sit down and meet with them, or we could just do nothing until we get them in front of the board, and we can go from there.
No,
Well, I
we're not
wouldn't
gonna do
mind you- I wouldn't
nothing.
mind you meeting with them, prior to the meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be happy to come to that one with the economos.
And I'm, in reading the report that's attached to your packet, I think you understand the findings as we did our research of the annexation agreement. The fact that we think the property maintenance code does apply because the parking lot constitutes a hazardous condition. And for tonight, what we were looking for was direction from the board
Sure.
to start the process, to sit down with the property owner or her representatives, which I think it will be, and Mr. Guggenheim, so that we can go through the property maintenance issue related to the parking lot, ultimately leading to it being paved. Our thought was we could come up with a written agreement after these meetings, and then come back to the board with this agreement for your final review and consideration, and if you agree with it, then that ultimately could be approved and we can move forward. So with the board's concurrence, we can go ahead and start arranging those meetings and getting an agreement together for your review.
Well, yeah, okay, and what more, okay, Trustee Williams?
You said you invited the owner to be here?
Yes, we did.
How did you invite her?
By phone, we left a
So
message.
she was not sent a letter saying to be here?
She was not.
Okay.
That's
Dave,
correct.
do you have any cost as to what it would cost to fix that parking lot?
Fix it.
Any idea?
I would-
David?
Paving without curb and gutter, or
Pave it.
just paving? 35,000?
Just curious.
Wild guess, but somewhere in that ballpark.
Well, this is the third time at the rodeo on this, I mean, going
It's
back
gotta
to
be done.
Angelo, going back to Adina. I don't know how many times we had chats with Angelo, but Angelo, Economos is the one responsible, unless I'm mistaken, based
Far
on
as
the
I'm-
lease. So, yeah, we can get this meeting set up, and,
Yeah, and post haste, because I don't want to see it interfere with what
Absolutely.
Dan's trying to do.
The one question I have for you, obviously, we've had terrible weather, and we're gonna have terrible weather for several more days. I would like temporarily, in the pothole areas, to be able to put some number 9 limestone fines to fill in the holes that were caused during the snowstorm, and I don't think
I
that
don't think we're gonna
requires a
stop you
permit.
from doing that.
Pardon me?
yeah, I
Okay.
don't, yeah.
I don't think we're gonna
Yeah,
stop you
okay.
from doing that, no.
I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
problematic.
It's
so.
critical for us to, obviously running a business, to have it in better condition than it ever, but nothing's been done until I took over recently and, put some gravel down and filled some holes. So obviously we have to do something in the interim while we discuss this
Sure.
further.
Yeah, okay.
But-
Well then, how quick do we want to bring this back for the first meeting in May?
Yeah,
Is that too quick?
we
How-
think
how
maybe
about
the
if I
second
could-
meeting, and we're
Letters
thinking
out.
30 to 45 days for us to be able to get an agreement together. And we're thinking it'll take a meeting to kind of get everyone up to speed and to educate them as to the requirements of the code, and then probably some more discussion to get them to agree to do something. And it'll also include an exercise where they'll have to get an estimate to pave the parking lot.
I think the bigger question is going to be for them to understand that the annexation agreement expired in 2012. I'm sure she's under the impression, as I was, that annexation agreement was still in effect, which I just learned tonight. It's not.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, the property is no longer encumbered by that annexation agreement, so now we can apply the property maintenance code. And drive aisle, parking, whatever, the parking lot will need to be paved. Now, that's not to say that we have the ability to throw the whole development code at them. In other words, curb and gutter, no, we can't require that. We can't require detention as long as they stay within the limits of the compacted stone area so that an SMC permit isn't triggered. But we can't have them pave it and end up with a parking lot that's similar to what the board approved at the town center to take care of take care of employee parking at that, which is a great improvement. And again, with the board's concurrence, we'll start that process of discussion with the property owner.
I'll agree to work with Mike in contacting Mrs. Economos, but I don't think that's going to be the answer. I think it's going to be getting her children involved, because you're going to have a language barrier with her. But I'll agree to work. I already had agreed to that prior to the meeting tonight. I'm going to send Mike the address so he can formally notify her. But then I'll follow up with a phone call with her, telling her that she needs to get somebody from her family to represent her.
Right, and we'll try to track down her son or daughter. I guess they're both attorneys, is what you're telling me?
That's what I understand.
And I think if we can get to one of those two, then we can start having some real dialogue.
But
Go ahead.
I don't want this drawn out for the next 6 months. I want it handled right away. I want somebody in here within the next month, before us.
Within a month?
Yes. And then you can take it from there and do your sit-downs, but I want to see somebody in here.
No, the second meeting then.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a
The
month.
second meeting in May?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with all due respect, I think somebody's going to need to brief her prior to the meeting, because this is probably going to come a shock.
Fine.
Okay? So that's what I'm
Certified
making a
letters are
suggestion.
delivered within 5 days usually, so, that's not a big deal.
Well, we'll certainly move as fast as we can. I won't be here the second meeting in May, but we'll have everything ready.
Somebody else on staff will be.
We'll have it ready for
Yeah,
you
we
to be
don't post
discussed.
village yet because you're on vacation.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I just want to let you know this. We'll be back here the second meeting in May with something. It may be a progress report, it may be a final agreement for your review, but we'll be back here the second meeting in May.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, anything else from me?
Does staff, would they like a motion to kind of memorialize this and put the full weight of the board behind these actions?
Thank you.
If it's the board's wish, that's fine. It's not necessary. We're really just looking for direction. We wanted to review with you our findings, because at the Liquor and License Commission meeting, the answer I gave you was, we'll research the annexation agreement and get back to you. Well, we've done that with the information.
Okay, but, if somebody step in, or, council can add to it. If the annexation agreement is expired, all bets are off, as far as telling them what they gotta do if they gotta upgrade this building?
Well, oh, go ahead, Bob. The annexation agreement,
This is a tough night tonight.
yeah, the first, in reviewing it, the first thing we found out was, and it's difficult to define what that was, but the language was that they had to pave a driveway that leads from Route 45 to the existing paved surfaces.
Like the door.
Yeah, and we think they did that because you could see a paved surface from Route 45 that's newer, that connects to an older paved area adjacent to the building. And then also in reading the annexation agreement, we realized it expired in 2012. So in meeting with Bob, and I'll let Bob review that with you, what that means is we can apply other parts of the code that we otherwise couldn't when the annexation agreement was in place. In other words, the property maintenance code. And based on the condition of that and the fact that the parking lot is a hazardous condition, we can now require that it's paved. And I'm sure Bob can do a much better job explaining the details.
Well, Mike is right. We're kind of walking between two different legal theories under the ordinance. They're a legal non-conforming use. So they're allowed to stay there in the condition or under the circumstances that existed when they came into the village. So the parking lot didn't have curb and gutters and things like that.
Right,
But it had a parking lot that was paved. It did not have the curb apron on Route 45, and that's what the annexation agreement required. And so now we do have the ability to impose property maintenance on that parking lot that has deteriorated. So that parking lot can be made to be put back in the condition that it was in when it was annexed. But that doesn't mean we can impose new, shall we say, new requirements, curb, gutter, and things like that. But clearly, we can get that parking lot back up to a condition that it should be in.
Well, okay, and then how about the restroom facilities?
I don't know what the issue there is, but it's,
The restroom facility, as far as the condition of it?
Well, I
what-
mean, is it ADA?
Yeah, I would suspect it's not ADA. Now, there's two sets of codes that apply. One is the Illinois Accessibility Code. That's
Right.
the code that the village has the authority to enforce. The requirements of that code are triggered based on the level of remodeling that's done in a building, not just change of ownership. ADA, which are federal requirements, mandates that the owner, or whether it be the business owner or the property owner, either one, is responsible for upgrading any element that's not in compliance with federal regulations. We don't have enforcement authority over that. And my guess is, I haven't been in those bathrooms in particular, at least not in such a long time. I would guess they don't comply, but I don't know the exact condition of them as they are now.
and we can look at those codes, because if it's an existing building before ADA came into place, they have to make reasonable accommodation, but they may not have to absolutely make it totally
Yeah,
ADA
okay,
compliant.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously this building goes back, what is it, 40 years old or 50 years old, or probably was there like Lycums. So it's a long time ago.
I don't think
You
it's
know.
quite as old as
Well,
Lycums, but it's been there a long
and the other
time.
triggering point would be is if they ever came in and wanted to do an addition.
That's correct.
And then all bets are off.
Correct, and/or extensive remodeling.
But because isn't it tied into the fact of the square footage of the building as we speak? What they have to do and not do as far as sprinklers?
Well, yeah, I mean, if that building were built today at the size it is today, they'd have to sprinkler it.
Right.
So
Right.
if they were to do remodeling that that exceeded 50%, just remodeled, not even added on, that exceeded 50% of the replacement cost of the building, we'd make them sprinkler it.
Right. Okay, well, restaurant with a sprinkler system, what a novelty, huh? Okay.
A lot of them have it.
All right, so we're gonna stir the pot with ownership.
That's correct, and we're going to sit down and we're going to meet with them. We're going to share the board's direction with them, educate them on what the property maintenance code requires, which is the paving of the parking lot, and then it'll be back before you on the second meeting in May.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
and he can fill some holes.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, all right. Okay, we get the, request from Pier 1, wait, why don't we?
We can go back
jump
to number one.
Why don't we go to VHAC storage containers,
'Cause
and then we'll come back.
Yeah, because that's the one where we don't have paid professionals for. So.
Thank you very much for your consideration. We're trying to work through a storage solution out at the VHAC. At one point in time, they did have 2 larger storage boxes out there. Those have went away a few years ago. What we wanted to do is have a plan that we shared with the board. It is in the packet. There's 4 different storage lockers that we're looking to put out there. They're similar in size to the one that's at the metro station, right next to the tower. They're 20 foot deep. There's 4 of them. 2 of them would be for the village's use. The Stingers organization have asked if they could have a locker out there. They've said that they would pay the estimated $2,400 cost for that. And we have another storage box that is for the Cougars, the youth athletic program. So I know when we presented this at the budget process that there was a question from one trustee as far as whether or not the Cougars would finance theirs or not. Obviously, I would leave that up to the board's discretion which way to go with that. The overall plan would be to place these 4 storage containers. Pinwheel 4, which is the southeasternmost pinwheel field, it would be in the outfield, very similar to where they were previously. 4 of them together in a pen. We would put a fence on either side of them, similar to the drawing, and we would have a little room in between the outer two boxes to have some storage internally. In terms of the landscaping, we added some landscaping around the storage boxes. I would leave that to the board, whether or not you think that is something that's necessary or not. We are looking to paint these. Color choices are similar to what's out there currently. Most buildings are what we call a VHAC brown or beige. And then the fence enclosure, we've been painting a VHAC red. So those are the colors we'd like to paint it. In terms of the landscaping, I wonder if we just go ahead and put this out there to start with, let the village board all look at it and see what level of landscaping you think is appropriate out there, and we can bring the landscaping part back. There is definitely a defined need for storage out there. Currently, there's people storing things inside of like electrical room or other areas that we need to do a better job on that. So we've removed everything from the electrical room, so there is storage needs on site. So this is our proposed plan. We'd like to order these boxes ASAP. I originally had planned on ordering them 2 months ago, but we wanted to make sure we brought it before the board to get approval, obviously, before we put boxes out there. We're locating them the southeast in the outfield past the southeasternmost pinwheel field.
Right, outside
the home run fence. Yes, sir.
Makes it back.
Yeah, I don't want anybody falling over it, they're running backwards to catch a fly ball. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, it's right where the existing structures are, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's right over here. Yeah, right.
It'd be across from them now, right? It would be east of them?
It would be due east of the concession buildings,
Yeah.
bathroom facility,
Yep.
past the center field of the southeasternmost pinwheel field.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need a
We
motion
think
to
that's a good
accept that?
compromise in terms of its location. We can get to that location. Ultimately, we are talking about replacing the batting cages within the pinwheel, or otherwise there was some discussion of placing them there. They don't need to be right next to the fields for us to get to, so we think this is a good compromise and leave the area available for more of the baseball uses.
Because the Stingers use 5 and 6, wouldn't it be more likely to put one over there then?
We thought about that. What we're hoping to do is contain them into one area. I did have discussions with the Stingers. Ideally, it would be right there available for them, but I think generally just having them on site's important to all.
Okay.
Because we have vehicles out there.
We do.
I mean, that
Gator.
everybody gets to use. No, you don't have any. What do we
They have one for their own use.
Yeah.
And then we will have one for our use, and then certainly the Cougars have their golf carts also.
Okay.
So people will be able to motor around and get to the storage lockers, get to the fields,
All right, so you guys are popping for this thing.
for one of the four.
Yeah, okay.
But you will.
Well, I mean, for one of the containers,
Where did they get my golf car?
they're gonna pay for one of the containers.
They would pay for one of the four, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and one suggestion, Dave and I have been talking about this. I would just throw out to you, if we're going to have a group pay for them, pay for one, we should have any group pay for another one. Or if you decide that the village will buy all four of them, then the village will pay for all four of them. So just a suggestion of equity.
Let-
And then, Dave, we haven't heard, not to put it in anyone's mind, but say from soccer or lacrosse, that there's a need for more storage space, so.
I would take a look at possibly too to make, I don't know, to take a look at that, we, the village, pays for it,
Pay for what?
the containers.
Well, aren't there a couple of containers still out there?
There's no containers out there currently. Those were removed a
Oh.
few years back.
Okay. Is that the same price, those?
The other ones were twice as long, so different price. These ones we're looking at roughly, we can get them set in place, painted, right around $2,400 each.
We need
Each.
4.
We need 4 of them. 2 would be for the village's use, 1 for the Stingers, 1 for the Cougars. That's why there'd be 4 of them.
Okay, so we're already paying for 2.
So we're paying for a minimum of 2.
All right,
Can I-
and they're gonna pay. And then
That's another question.
the Cougars.
ahead.
The Cougars.
I gotta get it in my mouth before you ask.
We have to pass the boot, huh? Okay. Trustee Cook.
So Dave, the figure you've got here of the 15.7, is that including, what does that include?
Yeah, what containers, yeah.
The, let me get to my estimate here. The, wrong estimate.
Four
Here we go.
containers.
It's for 4 containers. There's a fence that would add another $500, putting a little bit of stone down underneath them. And then it'd be a little bit of asphalt and some landscaping.
That's,
So your figure there would be inclusive of all 4 containers?
yeah, yes. It's all
Yes.
4 containers. It's, it does have a dollar quantity of 4
Well,
containers. at
my
24.
question then was, if the third organization is not buying, or if the other organization is not buying the 3rd container, perhaps we could just go ahead and foot the bill for the full
That's-
deal.
that's what I would
And then the
suggest.
Stingers could use that money for transportation to and from the,
That is a suggestion that I made, is that we,
I don't have a problem
as a
with that.
village, pay for it.
And then allow
I mean,
them to
for
use the money for their
let's face it,
transportation to and from.
This is gonna be out there, it was brought up already, soccer,
Yeah.
these containers are needed.
Yeah.
And whether who's out there or what,
So at the end of the season, they would
Yeah.
take their equipment away, and then soccer can
make
use
it
it,
all
or
together out of
somebody else
Yeah.
can use it.
Yeah.
Makes
yeah,
sense.
Wait, is that what's intended?
Or do we
You
need
guys
2
intend
more?
on just leaving stuff there, right?
Year-round?
Yeah.
So we're gonna need 2 more, one for football
But
and
the-
one for soccer and lacrosse?
no, I think with what we have will be adequate for everybody.
No, they're
Yeah.
they're gonna leave their stuff in there year-round.
Correct, but it's not that, you have 4 containers.
Yeah.
Right.
You're probably gonna be looking at 1 container would hold all the stuff for baseball,
But
the
they,
point, and then football would have, seen there's 2 other containers.
But we're keeping all our landscaping equipment, the gator and everything else in R2. R2 are full.
They are.
our two are for our equipment.
Correct, then you have 2
Yeah.
more.
Right. One for baseball,
Baseball.
one for softball. What about football, soccer, and lacrosse?
I think
Let
that
me,
could
let
be-
me help a little bit with the
Please.
football, where their viewing stand is. They store a lot of their equipment below there, so we do afford that to the football use. We have a lock on the door. The Cougar program's the other ones with the key other than us. So football, I think, is being addressed. Soccer, basically the goals are out there, it's striped, they show up with soccer balls. There's not a lot of need for storage. They do a little bit of retouching the paint line, so I don't think there's a really big need in soccer or lacrosse.
Eventually, but I think we'll be able to accommodate it.
Larger on baseball because of the chalk that they bring and the constant assistance.
And lacrosse, they have goals though. But are they left out mostly?
They put them out.
Yes.
But they don't need to store them. They store them outside until the end of the season?
We find a home to store those at the end of the season for
Okay.
them.
All right.
So Dave, do you need a motion on this or consensus, or what is?
Totally confused.
I guess two things that
Golf carts.
yeah, 2 things. I would like direction from the board that it's okay for us to move forward with 4 different containers. That in fact the site plan and their location's acceptable to the board. And in terms of the landscaping, that once we put these out there, that the village will bring it back to the board You guys can take a look at it, see what you think in terms of the landscape, and if this is too much on a plan or too little, we can revisit that with the board. That's really the items I'm hoping to get a motion from someone on the board.
Well, you also need direction, though, on whether, who's going to buy them, how many, and so I guess I prefer doing it as a motion to direct staff to prepare the necessary purchase documents and installation plans for 4 20-foot storage containers to be placed in accordance with the plan to be finalized later.
And I will
Village
second
owns
that.
them.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree
And
with
that would
that.
mean to proceed with the purchase.
Yes.
Right.
Based on
Yeah, prepare
tonight's
the
action.
purchase
Okay.
documents and whatever budget.
They will.
What do you say?
That can be worked out.
Yeah, we'll discuss that.
Who buys the
as far as
golf
what's
cart?
in there.
The golf,
The golfer?
the golf cart driver.
Cart driver.
All right, so I'll second that.
All right, so this is
Second it.
for 15,728,
Yes.
That is correct.
not to exceed, and, okay, and this is the structure that used to be sitting on crushed stone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that good? I mean,
That's,
they'll just rust from the bottom up, or?
no,
That's common practice for them to sit on that's common practice for them to sit on either asphalt or crushed stone. The ones previously sat on the wet grass.
And they were okay after you moved them?
A lot of brown.
these containers, David, if you tell them that these containers hit areas of travel on boat routines and
Right.
stuff, so
Right, salt.
it's gonna take some years for them to rust, quite a bit of
It's the one
years.
you see on CSIs with the people
Yeah,
inside.
just about.
Gotcha.
So it takes some time, so.
All right, so, yeah, we'll be pushing up daisies before they rust out, huh?
I think so.
Wait a minute, I'm closer to
Hey,
that
hey,
than
hey,
you
hey,
are.
hey, 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 you never know. Okay, all right, so there's a motion to approve the purchase and then obviously all the prep work for 15,728, right? Motion and a second on that?
Yep,
Yes.
Yes.
Roll call.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
President Byrne?
All right, motion carries. Okay.
Are you trustee Hook?
She okay? You okay? You okay? Oh, your chair's,
There you
She
go.
keeps getting closer to the floor.
There you go.
She thinks she's sitting in my chair.
okay. All right, okay. Next is, now can we go back to 2? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's go back to 2.
And you got the piece.
Brobmar Investments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Brobmar Investments are here tonight to discuss their acquisition and redevelopment of the Superior Ambulance property located at 401 West Sullivan Drive. As you know, Superior's been on the property, I'd say 5 or 6 years now, and operate their ambulance service out of that location. The petitioner here tonight is proposing to redevelop the property using the existing building, remodel the site, remodel the building and portions of the site to bring the learning experience daycare facility to this location. They're proposing to bring at maximum capacity 170 children and 23 staff, which would, I think, be on a shift basis to the location. You have a copy of the site plan that's in front of you tonight. Staff has worked with them to try to lessen the impact of the play area on the adjacent residential properties. As you can see, they've moved that out to the front of the building. Another part of this redevelopment of the site plan was to eliminate the driveway connection between the north parking lot where you see employee parking and the south parking lot, which would be the staff, or it would be partial staff and also parent parking. This allowed for additional buffer and landscaping to be added in this adjacent area. Primary access to the property will be off of Route 45 and then in through Sullivan. There's a single access point on Sullivan, I apologize. We've talked with the petitioner and he'll be able to address some of this. The concern that we had expressed during our conversation was not access to the site per se, but entering and exiting Sullivan off of Route 45 during the AM and PM peak periods of the day. As I think everybody knows, the traffic along Route 45 gets to be a little challenging, and there may be times in the mornings, for instance, where somebody trying to leave, taking a left turn onto Route 45 may be quite a challenge because of the sheer volume of traffic. I would also note that we had some discussions about existing daycares that are currently in the community. There are 4 commercial daycares currently operating. KinderCare operates 2, Goddard, and then CDW, which was originally private but has now opened to the general public. There's also several faith-based daycares throughout town, and then you also have the Vernon Hills Park District, which is operating their center out of the Lakeview Center property. In your packet, obviously, is the site plan, some photos of the typical TLE building elevation. I would note that some of that elevation is quite colorful, and I'm not sure it complies with the signage ordinance, among other things. We have not looked at it in any detail with regards to that. The petitioner's here tonight to seek your direction and your thoughts on the appropriateness of this development at this location. And if you should feel, or if you should agree that the use is appropriate, they would be directed to begin the technical review process and appear before Planning and Zoning Commission at a future date for consideration of a special use permit to allow a daycare, along with approvals of site, landscaping, and building elevation approvals for the property. And with that, I'll turn it over to the petitioner who's here tonight, and he can talk any further about it and answer your questions.
Hi, I'm Ken Marino. I'm the president of Brobmar Investments. I'm a developer.
You may want to use the mic.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm the handheld.
The handheld, so you don't need.
Oh, that's even better. High tech here. All right. My name's Ken Marino. I'm the president of Brobmar Investments. I'm a retail developer. I was brought into the picture. I've done a couple daycares with the Learning Experience, which is a national daycare company. And they would love the opportunity to be in this Vernon Hills location. And I'm here to answer any questions about the site. I also want to introduce, go ahead, Tom.
I was here last summer. My name's Tom Borchard. I'm representing the ownership. They're very interested in maintaining their excellent working reputation throughout, and certainly in Vernon Hills. They're concerned about maintaining that. They're also interested in highest and best use, and they believe they can find another location. They haven't begun to seek that location yet, waiting to hear your determination of this situation. They believe this is a viable purchase opportunity. It's a highest and best use, and could well serve the fine community of Vernon Hills with this national daycare center operator. They're in support of it. They've asked me to represent them and to support the applicant to make it as best as possible to meet your needs and requirements, and to hopefully get permission to proceed with the use permit process.
Trustee Cook.
I just had a question. The current use, are they officially out? Are they going out? Is this a transition? What is, because
The sale is, the property wasn't for sale. The daycare center was looking for a fine location and a fine community, and found this site and found Vernon Hills, and approached Mr. Marino with the desire to put a package together. Mr. Marino approached then Superior Ownership. They reached the deal subject to permission of the zoning and approval. So certainly
I
they
just asked 'cause
understand.
I hadn't heard they were planning on leaving, and we just approved some,
Right. No.
some changes for them just recently, so.
Superior has invested in the property and the site. There's a major investment that would come with the approval of the daycare center, which would then trigger the sale. But certainly your determination on the daycare center operation was first and foremost, and to receive that, ownership understands and applicant understands there are, with the special use issues, needs to invest in the building, the land, the site, the maintain reputation in the neighborhood, viable traffic concerns, all of which I believe can be reached and achieved and meet the expectations. But your call, and we're here to help you along with that. The daycare folks will be here certainly through the process if you allow it to start. They are national and professional. It's a preschool with the daycare center operation. It's not just a daycare center, it's schooling, significant schooling with educated objectives and requirements that need to first get through the state of Illinois for their permits. So there's a multitude of process that has to be followed we're aware of.
Okay. Does staff have any comments on this? You guys talked about this with the petitioner?
Well, the conversation with the petitioner really focused on two areas. Again, improvement of the site plan, as you can see here, and how the site plan could be the site could be redeveloped to lessen the impact on the adjacent neighbors. And then the other issue was talking with him specifically about the traffic, and again, the concerns about exiting the property both off of Sullivan onto Route 45 in the peak periods, you know, trying to lessen or eliminate the possibility of cut-through traffic on into Westwood and Plymouth Farms via Sullivan to Creekside, which would then take you back out to Butterfield Road. I provided, there's a copy of a map in here in your packet that shows the layout of both of those subdivisions and how to preclude that. Obviously, from our standpoint, any type of cut-through traffic that would leave this site would be a negative on the adjacent neighborhoods, and it would be something that we would clearly want to discourage in this case. Saying that, the petitioner talked about the idea of placing a no right turn sign out on the property. Unfortunately, as we talked, that's a private sign is not enforceable. So from that standpoint, again, it would be advisory only in that respect. So those are the two issues. I think from a site planning standpoint, they've done a lot of good work on this to, again, alleviate what would be the child noise and the play activities and those types of things on the adjacent properties. The traffic still and the exiting out onto 45 is still of significant concern.
And a question on your traffic sign, if the curb was designed so that a right was impossible, almost like the left, you know, like the back half of a pork chop, is that then make it that still doesn't help, it just makes it difficult?
Well, again, remember, you still have people that are making the right in, and you may actually have residents who live in Westwood and Plymouth Farms who want to make that right in.
left in, yeah.
So it'd be a tough design.
Thanks.
Trustee Hebda.
I want to thank the board for holding this topic because I am an early childhood teacher just at a program. So here's my concern. This is concept. We have several daycares here in our community that aren't all filled. And I really believe, I don't know that you are aware of the fact that also our schools provide daycares free to many parents of children with special needs. Hawthorne, Laura Spriggs School, Fairhaven School, they provide places for these students to go to. So we lose those children to that place. As a Park District employee, we also provide extended services to our children to stay with us later on. So I really think that we have quite a saturation of the market. We have CDW, we have Goddard, we have the Montessori, we have all of these places that aren't totally filled. And I think until we can see that those are filled and those needs are being met, I really can't support your concept at this time, because I do believe we've really tried to, as a community, provide various options, whether it be park district, whether it be in the corporate environment, or it be in the school environment, to give these parents an opportunity to service their children, and we're not filled either. So that would be a concern for me, to see another corporation coming in here competing with the same market. So I personally can't support your concept at this point in time till I see those other needs being met and filled.
I understand. Remember, this is a national daycare. It's for-profit. And one of their big differences, they're one of the originators of the daycare center. They have a lot of corporate customers, so that's how they get their business, through corporations. There is some walk-in business, but they have a lot of accounts with corporations. And as I've developed some of these centers, a lot of the not-for-profit daycares may not have, the trained staff that specializes in this and the programs.
Well,
The special.
I take
Well,
issue
no,
with
no, I don't mean it
I
that
think we
way.
have some very good programs here
Yeah.
for a lot of our kids.
But they have, they've probably done about 500 centers and have had good success, for profit. Now, in this area that we're talking about, there's about 4,000 children, and the centers they compete with absorb about 10% of that, so that's about 400 kids. So we're talking about, at full capacity, another 170 kids in the 4,000 in the 4,000 children population in the 3-mile ring. So that's why they're the ones that approach me. They do their studies corporately. They're out of Boca Raton, Florida. They're innovators that kind of started this business, and they really want to be here. That's the reason. I don't do the studies. They do.
Well, I just really believe that we've been saturated in our area, and I don't know that this is the right place or the location for this particular concept. So that's at least from this chair. I don't know about the other board members.
As I understand it, it's really a compliment to your community that Boca Raton wants to locate here. They believe that this community and their services are a match, and wish the opportunity to compete. But they got to follow your rules and guidelines,
Right,
and seek your permission and go through significant upgrades to get there. But a lot of it's because of the fine community that's here, which is also why Superior doesn't want to completely leave. They want to find a different location, but maintain their operation as it has served Vernon Hills. They want to continue that.
Trustee Schwartz.
Where does your tuition fall in relation to like the Goddard School or KinderCare? Are you,
It's around between $700 a month and $1,700 a month.
okay, so where does that fall? Like, are you a Goddard school type
I'd say it's
daycare? Are you
I'd say it's
KinderCare?
slightly more upscale than a Goddard. Yeah.
Trustee, Trustee Williams.
Where is your, I'm looking at your site plan.
Yes.
Where is your drop-off and pickup point for the students?
There's a main entrance, right next to where the play area is. There's going to be an entrance coming in, and the children have to be brought in by their parents. They're big on security, so they have to be taken out of the car, brought in, checked in, and the same thing happens on the way out.
And what age level would be here?
This is from 6 weeks old to 5 years old.
So they wouldn't, if they're in kindergarten, they would not be in this building, or they would?
Correct. Yeah,
Once they start school, you're out.
Right. The other thing that I like, I want to mention that I'm kind of impressed with, I don't know, maybe this is every place, but 90% of the students, when they're going into kindergarten, can read, fully read. I mean, they're ready to go and read. That's a little difference here. We're living in a society here where they're really pushing, all the different programs, and this is just kind of where it's at now.
So if you happen to have a child in there that's 4 years old and needed preschool, they would not be allowed to be at this facility? Because
6
they
weeks.
would need to go to school?
No, 6 weeks old to
I know.
5 years old.
But if you got a child that needs to be in a preschool situation, not a here, but at a public school preschool, They go when they're 4 years old. Could they go to this school?
I don't, they have the
A
choice.
school bus would have to come and pick them up.
Yeah, there is no bus here. There is no
Okay,
bus.
so they would not be allowed
There
in
is
this
no
building.
bus, right.
And I'm very concerned about the driveway. I just don't like that. It's one way in and one way out.
Well, that's the way it is now, too.
I know, but it's a little bit different with lights and sirens going. Traffic's going to stop.
Yeah, the ambulance is in a lot of traffic.
A little bit different.
I can tell you from, my partner lives on Royal Birkdale Drive in Vernon Hills, and I come down here a lot to look at the site, and it's no bargain from a safety perspective or speed perspective to come out of the site, go through Creekside Drive to go over to Butterfield. It's a much more direct route to just jump on 45, wait your turn, and then go over to Butterfield. I mean, it's dicey. I mean, there's people walking their dogs, there's children playing. It's just not something you're going to speed through and look.
No, I've lived here since '77, so I know all about it.
Okay, yep.
I still don't like the driveway.
That's exactly why I'm not sure I like it.
Exactly.
Thanks
Been
for
here
making
long
my
enough to
case.
know that.
All right.
That's what scares me.
All right, trustee Cook?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Traffic is generally like squeezing a water balloon. It goes where it, feels it can get away. And you're going to have a lot of people that are not going to want to wait in line. The problem is this is going to be, a daycare is pick up and drop off when traffic is at its peak. I mean, you're, as a general rule, that's when that's why they're using daycare, is they're in the standard peak commute.
But they don't come in, it's not like everyone's leaving at the same time. It's every 8 to 10 minutes, it takes a while, there's a process.
I understand that, but this is not a really good location to get on and off Route 45, to get back onto 45 after they drop the kids off and that. And I don't know that I'd like to see some numbers on the traffic and stuff that's generated, because I see this as being a really bad use for this specific spot because of the ingress and egress from Route 45. And people, if there's a backup trying to get onto 45, don't try to tell me they're not going to go through. They're not going to be thinking, I don't want to go through Creekside because there might be too many kids out there or people walking their dogs. They're only thinking, I got to get to work. There's a line here. I'm going that way. And if you try to tell me anything other than that, you're not going to convince me, because I know people in traffic.
We'd like to address it.
We certainly understand, and I was very impressed earlier with the procedure that you have in Vernon Hills that allows for a staff review first and then a presentation to the board to allow any applicant to get not just staff perspective, but board perspective. So we appreciate the opportunity to, be here, not just with staff, but be with all of the trustees. As Trustee Williams said, been here for all of these years, you know the community. We don't. We need to understand the community, as we wish to be a part of, or his client wishes to be part of the community. Certainly, the traffic, as we've heard tonight, is going to be a major issue. We did not do, as I understand it, they have not done a full-blown traffic study yet, waiting to understand what other issues there might be and understanding the details of the traffic issue. So I guess from my perspective, I think we would wish your authority to proceed at our risk to the next phase of review process, but certainly understanding we'll need to work with your village staff, public works staff. There's a consultant that I understand that Mr. Marino has worked with in the past that's familiar with Lake County and Vernon Hills, work with them. Get a better understanding of the ins and the outs of the actual daycare center operation, how they control their customers. I do understand sometimes the owner can require with a contract for the student that the parent or the delivery vehicle follow rules and regulations. So there may be a need, perhaps, where the operator, should they get the permit, would need to require that only folks who live in a neighborhood would be allowed to make a right turn out. Wouldn't be something the police could enforce, but it's certainly something that the operator could enforce,
Well,
if it need be.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem. I'm not saying no right now, but I really have to see traffic numbers, because that looks significantly a problem. And also please be aware that whatever your traffic guy comes up with, our staff needs to look at, because traffic guys are even worse than accountants at moving numbers around. And so I'd like to have our people, you know, look at our, no offense to Larry.
Or Dave.
No, I meant the accountant, line to Larry.
But if
But
traffic guys-
very seriously, I've seen professional traffic people come in and make some incredibly bizarre statements, so.
Well, we would probably use Manhart Engineering, who's out of Vernon Hills. They already know the situation and be happy to
Okay,
work with them.
good reputable company, yeah.
Okay. Trustee Schultz.
Howdy. I went and did a little bit of research with the Child Care Aware of America web, and I did some math, and I went through, and it doesn't seem like we're underserved. We're not overserved. We're on par with the remainder of Illinois with regard to available daycare within this marketplace, based on the numbers that were generated for us by staff. So therefore, I'm not seeing a big need. Now, with that being said, the Goddard School is 97% filled. It's the high end. They promote a lot of serious educational programs, more or less, and I use the term very loosely, but guaranteeing results. And I'm assuming that's what you're trying to bring, is something similar or even above that. So maybe there is more of a market for that. On the negative side, though, I agree with all my fellow trustees regarding traffic. You know, people go the path of least resistance, especially when it backs up in the wintertime and et cetera. So I don't have a real fond feeling here for trading a low impact use with what I consider to be a higher, much higher impact use, especially with the condition of Route 45. And I speak for everybody here, but I think we'll all be dead and buried by the time 45 gets widened. So I'll hold a good thought for all of you. I guess maybe I should just speak for myself. With regard to your use, you're not bringing us anything because we don't get anything. We don't collect a property tax. So if you increase the value of that property, big deal, because we don't collect property tax. We only collect sales tax. So therefore, there's no financial incentive. In fact, the last point is there's a financial disincentive. We just lent out $2 million to one of your competitors, the Vernon Hills Park District, and they need to get to a higher level of occupancy so that they in fact can make their payments back to us to repay that loan. So from that perspective, it probably isn't a good business decision to invite additional people to fill that marketplace. So at this juncture, I'm not a fan. But like I said, I did give you that one positive about the Goddard School being so full that maybe if you're bringing something like that, maybe there is a demand and a hue and cry. So anybody that's watching on TV tonight and you have a hue and cry to bring additional high-end daycare, call me, let me know. That's it.
Trustee Williams.
I just have two quick questions.
Sure.
One, you said you are corporate. By that, you go out and solicit corporations, I assume?
That's right.
Okay, could you just, so if you were in Vernon Hills, you would be going to the corporate developments in town, trying to get them to send their employees here to your facility?
Yes, some of the corporations, they have,
Would you be contracting with them directly?
correct.
Directly with the corporate centers? How many slots for students would you have in this building, do you know?
170 when it's full.
170? When it's full. And this again would be a few months old up to 5 years old.
Right.
Interesting. The reason I asked that question about the corporations, you said most of them would be varied as far as the times of going to work. Most corporations have set schedules. Start at 8 o'clock, you start at 9 o'clock. So if everybody in my building or in a building or corporation is bringing their children to your facility, all of those employees are going to be in there at one time.
Right.
So you would
It's-
have somewhat of a backup, as Trustee Cook pointed out.
I'd say it's about 50% corporate and then 50% private pay, you know,
Okay.
local residents.
Thank you.
So is that what the cost would be? The $1,700 a month would be for what services?
That's, you know,
For the baby.
I mean, some of the stuff they have, phonics, music, dancing, science, art, physical education, writing, reading, math. I mean, they got programs on philanthropy, programs on manners, all kinds of stuff with Make-A-Wish Foundation. They go to the next level, but the $1,700 is probably full-time daycare plus every other program they have. You know, it's everything, all the extra bonus programs and
Yeah,
stuff.
and of course, everybody's gonna want something.
Right.
Right, okay. I don't know what else to say. Does anybody else have any comments on this?
Not at this time.
Okay, well, you know, it sounds like the majority of the board's not that sparky about this, but with that said, I'll ask council to, you know,
Make your spiel.
go into our,
I have a little speech with concept approvals. What you've heard tonight are just initial reactions from the village board, none of which is binding. If you choose to proceed, you know, it still has to go through the process. And the point of this is really an informal reaction, not a commitment one way or the other. So you just go forward knowing that.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for your time.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next is,
Pier 1.
Pier 1.
Freezing, I don't know.
Approval of facade renovations at River Tree Shopping Center,
Who's that lady? Leaving.
1701 North Milwaukee Avenue.
She was only here for
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And
lady.
Pier 1 will be relocating from their present location to the space that was formerly occupied by Old Country Buffet. The applicant is proposing to modify the existing storefront by replacing the double gable facade with a level canopy that includes a cornice detail. The existing building height, which at that location is 31 feet 4 3/4 inches, would remain the same. There would be 2 new awnings that would be installed over the main entrance. The material, and there's a sample and a picture that's being passed along right now for you to look at, is made of a composition bamboo wood material, and it's rated for exterior use. There would also be stem-mounted light fixtures that show on the picture that's being passed around. Staff is concerned with how the design of the light fixtures would look and how it would relate to the overall center. We believe that it's more appropriate for River Tree to come to the board with a sign package that would apply to the whole center, rather than looking at individually designed fixtures on a tenant-by-tenant basis. So staff is recommending that the light fixtures not be installed, not be approved. In addition to the material sample and photo that's being passed around, there are color elevations that are attached to your packet, showing both the existing and proposed elevations. And for tonight's meeting, if the committee feels the facade renovation is appropriate, then staff should be directed to prepare an ordinance approving the changes subject to the conditions outlined in your packet, which include a provision that does not approve the lighting fixtures. And the representatives of Pier 1 are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Trustee Cook.
Explain to me again that so that I can understand that you're not recommending the lighting fixtures as presented here. What exactly would an alternative look like?
The light, you see them in the picture there?
Yeah.
This is that.
Yeah, those are the light fixtures, and those would shine down on the awnings.
Okay.
Oh, those little gray things that looks like candles.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And our thought is that, you know, if River Tree had different lighting fixtures that they wanted to approach the board with, and you can consider a lighting package for the whole center, then we think that would be more appropriate than looking at lighting fixtures on a tenant-by-tenant basis. And as we move forward and stores come and go, we could end up with a number of different designed light fixtures.
So your objection is more has to do with the overall appearance of the center than this specific
Yeah,
side.
that's correct. Yeah, and in particular, approving light fixtures solely on a tenant-by-tenant basis. We think we should be looking at lighting fixtures overall for the whole center at one time.
Okay, because other than that, I think it looks very, very good. Extremely glad to see that you're staying in town and moving to another location there. And I like the front very much. I like the facade very much.
Country buffet.
How many square feet is this building? I mean, the space, I should say.
10,400. Can you?
So that's the old country buffet location?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Trustee Schultz.
I got a conflict here. I've got what was sent to me, which is brick, and then I got this picture I was just handed, which is drive-in.
Yeah, Trustee Schultz, the picture I requested, because I wanted the board to have a better idea of what those light fixtures look like.
Right.
And that's the purpose of that picture that's before you.
So
The
it will
co-
be brick.
It's, yeah, the color elevation that's attached to your packet, that's specifically what's being requested for
Right.
approval.
So it's the brick, and then over the brick, or no,
Proud.
below the existing brick line, below that masonry metal, yep, I'll get it out. Masonry lintel is this new bamboo. So it's not really adhered to the building, it's kind of suspended from the building.
It's an awning that sits in the existing opening.
By awning, what do you mean? I mean,
It's just like a canvas awning that you'd see anywhere. It's the same kind of a awning. It's a sloped frame,
yeah.
but it's actually a wood
Okay.
laminated bamboo product.
Why do you need it?
Decorative.
Because you're set back 8 feet below a,
It's mainly just an architectural, it's to give it the architectural character, similar to what's in that other picture. That other picture was a center in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It was just to give you a more realistic view of what that wood product was and the lighting.
is this, in other words, if I go to Ann Arbor or Kalamazoo or Gary, Indiana, or wherever, I'm going to see the bamboo on the front. This is a signature now
They would like
of Pier 1.
Yep.
These are their prototypical requests.
Who's who here?
My name is Jeff Brownell. I'm with PFDA Architects.
And I'm Dean Lev with Inland Commercial Property Management.
Oh, yeah, okay. I recognize you, but I don't know where I saw you. Probably in Vegas. At
I
the-
wish.
I think I'm thinking International Council of Shopping Centers. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
It stays there.
Yeah,
what happens
okay,
there
yeah.
stays there, right.
I'm sorry.
Here, we thought the bamboo thing was to reflect the sun because you face west.
It does face
Oh.
west. It does face
So
west.
what's staff's input on this? I mean,
No, I mean, the lighting, do you have a response to what staff was saying about the lighting, especially with inland?
It will act as a real awning for low
Yeah,
sun angles.
the awning, I think, is about a 30-degree angle to the wall, something along the, I mean, it'll actually
My
slope
question was
out.
actually with reference to what staff's recommendation was on the lighting fixtures and that, especially
Oh.
since you being from inland.
Well, we're before you because this is their request to us. It's in the lease, but obviously we have to get village board approval to install it.
Staff's recommendation, we think the awning looks great, you know, frankly, and the shape of the facade incorporates pretty much all brick, and it matches the shape of Old Navy. It's close to other elevations out there, so we think that it relates to the rest of the center very well. The sign will comply with the sign code. We don't have the details on that, but it will comply with the size requirements of the sign code. The only thing we have concern with is light fixtures. But other than that, we think the renovation looks great.
And I guess from my perspective, I concur with staff. Everything's fine, but the lighting, yeah, that's, if we're gonna attack this, we probably need to attack a uniformity across the whole, because you are keeping the brick, and so there's a certain connectivity.
Okay, that makes sense now. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, discuss the whole shopping center.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
So I guess
Yeah,
we're quasi-Sparky.
All right.
And again, we're just looking for a motion directing staff to prepare an ordinance approving the elevations, except that the light fixtures are not approved.
So made.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
President Byrne?
Aye, motion carried. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, EJ&E Southerly Bike Path, Butterfield Road to Indianwood. Oh,
Yeah, and the problem is we won't get to this till May. I think you're gonna ask him. We're gonna make him all over the.
Excuse me.
Can you use Indian?
Yeah.
Well, and I guess we should really just talk, you and I talk to Roger.
Go.
Do it on the way out of this.
I got you, John.
very nice.
Very good. Wanted to present the EJ&E bike path. We're looking at, this has been on our CIP list before. We've looked at a couple of different locations that we need to extend bike paths. This specific area is south of the EJ&E, from Butterfield Road to Indianwood. And what it does, it helps complete some of the path networks. As you're aware, just east of Indianwood, that's where the Park District is proposing to put their maintenance facility. And they already have a pathway network that extends easterly across the CV ditch. It'll continue out to Lakeview and allow for that connection. Once you get to Lakeview, you can loop around Greg's Parkway, go out to Milwaukee Avenue, return back along the EJ&E. So what we've done is put together a grant application, and we've presented that to try to obtain the grant. Specifically, we're looking at it'd be approximately $220,000 bike path construction. And in terms of the location, it would be north of our maintenance facilities, tight up against the EJ&E. Then we would bring it back within the green space along the forest edge, and then bring it all the way back to Indianwood. So wanted to present it to the board, see what your thoughts are of it. We have not met with the area residents. We certainly wanted to present it to the board before we move forward with further discussions.
How far are you away from a rear lot line?
On the edge.
Approximately 100 feet from a rear lot line.
Oh, 100 feet?
Yeah.
So you're on the other side?
So, you know, the rear properties are here.
Right.
And then we have a 100-foot strip and a 120-foot strip. So I know that
Gotcha.
this dimension's approximately 100 feet.
Because the other side of that is the right-of-way from the railroad track.
Or
Right.
railroad tracks.
And
right
then
there,
the,
big wide
sure.
I know that.
Yeah, so
No.
the railroad track
Yeah.
And there's a
being here.
path on
And then
the
there's
other
a
side.
path on the north
Right.
side to take you through Greg's landing.
But on our property, it's a 100-foot strip. It used to be called that anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know,
Yeah, okay.
So it's
this
on the
area will be
side of that
interesting,
purple
trying to work through that. We don't have a lot of room in between our maintenance buildings, outbuildings, and the railroad itself. I think we're in the 8 to 10 foot range. We may have to talk to the EJ&E about some acquisition, 2 feet, get an easement from them.
Yeah.
But we have to do, you know, further work and
When
investigation
were
on
you
it.
planning on doing this?
Well, the grant we've applied for, they would award the grant probably in the next 90 days, advise who would receive the money, and then we would slate for a later budget year, potentially next budget year, to do the actual construction.
Or would you do it in the fall, or?
Yeah, summer or fall.
No, I mean, this year still,
I'm sorry?
in 2013.
Right now, we haven't budgeted for it. We just wanted to go through the process of getting the grant, present it to the board, talk to the adjacent property owners, with an intent to bring it back to the board for construction for the following budget year.
So would this actually go past Lakeview to, or would it just terminate there and then you cross Lakeview and then you tie into the Park District system?
I think it ties in right there.
Right, you would connect up to.
You mean Indianwood, yeah.
Yeah, you'd connect up across Indianwood, connect to the pathway system that's on the south side of their access road,
Right there, yeah.
and extend all the way to Lakeview, and then work through some crossing at Lakeview that is more pronounced than what's out there.
Yeah, so there's no path though, once you get past the CV, right? No, you know what I mean, along the tracks. Is there anything back there? No.
No, there is. There's on the
frontage
Park
road.
District, on the south side of the EJ&E, they did punch a bike path through, so when you get to the east side of the CV, it goes through the woods towards the EJ&E, and then it does connect to Lakeview.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, they put some lights there, really did a good job. So this would interconnect with
Parallel
that.
to the actual access road.
It is parallel with
Doesn't
the
that have
access.
any kind of a name? That one where we park and we take the pictures for, holiday.
I know on the
holiday
east
lights
side,
up?
it's Candy Cane Lane. I don't know on the west side. I don't think we've named it yet.
Yeah, the west
I was
side,
just
it was just
curious,
it's just,
Yeah,
used
an
to only go
access
to the
road
parking
to the
lot,
park.
that's the only place they want.
So I mean, how did the
Yes.
police and fire department address that?
Well, it's
Just put in
the
Facebook.
area north of New
There's all kinds of
Century
people
Town,
there.
those units there, and you go into where
Straight.
there's a ball diamond back there and a playground,
You just come to the
and
parking lot.
Yeah. I mean, they can get
you
to it.
zigzag down to the small ped bridge that goes over the creek, and then
Okay.
goes adjacent to their new pavilion
Yeah, okay.
facility.
All right. Well, what else anybody have any questions on this? Trustee Cook?
So what you're saying in looking at this drawing, it's basically along the northern edge of the 100-foot strip, along the fence side of there's that fence on the north side of that 100-foot strip?
Yes.
And
So
it would basically be on the inside of that fence, the south side of that fence?
It would be on,
Because
exactly.
the other side of that fence is
Right away.
is railroad right away, right? Or is that?
So from the railroad, there's a forested area that's about 120 feet,
Okay.
and there's a 100-foot strip. So we want it to be
Yeah.
exactly
And
what
the
you're
fence runs
saying,
along
just
the
south of the
forested
fence.
area, and this will run right along the fence, basically.
True.
Okay.
So we want it to be in the open space where we're not putting it through trees, because we know area residents are very sensitive to having that screening and
Sure.
those trees.
Sure.
So that's why we decided to recommend putting it just south of the tree
Good.
line.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think our request for direction now is, Dave and I talked about, setting up some meeting with adjacent residents. Obviously, you're changing the dynamics and aesthetics back there. However, in a couple different ways, some people look at it as a useful trail and it'll be great use, and others will be concerned with people being back there more than there are now.
Yeah,
So-
if you need to, I can put you in touch with the president of the One Homeowners Association back there. So.
So if it's,
Please pass on my phone number if you would.
if it's okay with you, we'll set up some time. I mean, there's not a rush to this, but sometime in summer, fall, we'll set up some meetings
Yeah, okay.
and let everyone know
And then-
when they are.
We're getting, there's just what is it, basically on 45 and on Milwaukee, there's just a couple of dead spots that isn't fully, there isn't a full sidewalk connection.
On 45? Big dead
Cur-
spot.
Currently,
Well, I know where that's at.
we have the connection in the bike path system from here all the way to Milwaukee Avenue, except for there's one stretch through Kelly's Day Camp.
Yeah, where light
that
comes, isn't it?
Is
Yeah.
the Farshy grindings that were added along that pathway. But
Okay.
short of that, once that gets improved, we've got a good bike path network from here all the way to
And then
Milwaukee
on
Avenue.
Milwaukee, there's it's kind of shaky by, by the Forge Club there, isn't it? Or is that sidewalk kind of there? Yeah, there's a
We
sidewalk.
actually did work through to put a sidewalk.
Oh, I know where there's no sidewalk by Woodbine,
By Woodbine,
Yeah, okay.
exactly. That's another stretch we need to fill in.
which is unincorporated. Okay. All right, anything else on this?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, and
Time to go home.
that's about
Oh,
it.
we
huh?
gotta go there. Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn committee?
Quick point, the next meeting is going to be the swearing in of the newly elected trustees. And they were talking about bringing back some folks, I know, and
What date is that? First
The
meeting in May?
7th of May.
Yeah, so the only point being is that usually that's a limited schedule meeting. So, and we were talking about bringing some folks
Who we
back.
bringing back?
Well,
You can't
It's
say
the
that,
second
Mike. It's
meeting.
supposed to
No,
be
we're bringing,
surprise.
Whatever their name is.
D'Angelo's, Guggs, and
Yeah.
Dina's back.
Yeah, but they won't be ready by that.
Well,
No,
that'll
they
be-
said second
Hopefully there'll
meeting.
be something in by the middle of the month. What else is on for the first meeting?
We actually have, I think, Student Government Day coming up here too.
Oh, we
so
did.
that may fall into
For
that.
that meeting?
I think so.
Right.
That,
Yeah.
Really?
Okay,
yeah, that would be a good tie-in.
No.
okay. All right, so we need to adjourn to go and discuss personnel and potential litigation, right?
And then come
Correct.
back out
Afraid so.
And we're gonna come back out?
and
Yeah,
reconvene
so,
board, right?
right, we'll return to potentially take action on a
Okay.
resolution.
Okay, is there a
Motion to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Oh, you're supposed to say aye.
Me? Aye.
Trustee
I didn't
Schwartz?
hear.
Aye. Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
President Byrne?
Aye, motion carries. Okay, for all practical purposes, how long are we gonna be in here? We don't know.
You doing some more scratch paper?
Roll call person.
I'm here.
You have to do
I'm
roll-
sorry, you're.
Okay, roll call.
I'm here.
We got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Trustee Williams?
Here.
Trustee Hebda?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Is this a roll call or vote, or,
We
This is the motion to reconvene.
yeah,
Oh,
aye.
I thought.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. The only thing we're back in session, the only thing we're gonna discuss is, resolution to adjust the current senior staff, salary ranges of the Village of Vernon Hills pay plan. And this is for the year, 2013, 2014. Is this a good number for the resolution, the 072? Okay, so this is there a motion to approve resolution 2013-072 with, do we need to have the exact numbers read into the record?
I think we should, because of the IMRF, the whole.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously, it's
Larry
accessible to
double-check the
everybody,
figures?
but we should note those,
All
Larry,
right,
if you want to
Larry,
read
do you
through.
have the exact numbers on?
Well, I have the numbers calculated right here.
This would amount to a
But did you double check those numbers?
2.5.
1.25 increase for the village manager, the chief of police, finance director, assistant village manager, director of community development, building commissioner, assistant finance director, deputy chiefs, and we have two deputy chiefs. Deputy Chief Davies and Deputy Chief Cirillo, not Cirillo. Petrillo. And And then we have the Public Works Director, Dave Brown, we're gonna give 2.5% to. So, the current salary of the village manager without the increase is $168,547. The chief of police, $136,934. Director of Public Works, village engineer, $126,762. Finance director, $128,428. I'm just reading what they're making now.
Oh.
And then, just to fill in the time while Larry's doing his thing. Assistant village manager, director of community relations is currently at $120,361. Building commissioner, $104,688. Assistant finance director, $82,648. Deputy chief Davies, $118,715. Deputy Chief Petrillo, $123,553. So for the press sitting here, you know, basically, it's gonna be 1.25%, except for Dave Brown.
So
It'll be 2.5, so.
if you want, I'll read the numbers.
Okay, now these are the new raises with the increase for 2013-14 fiscal year.
For village manager, it's 170,654. For the police chief, it's 138,646. For the public works director, it's 129,931. For the finance director, it's 130,033. For the assistant village manager, it's 121,865. For the building commissioner, it's 105,997. For the assistant finance director, it's 83,681. For the deputy chief of operations, it's 120,199. And for the deputy chief of administration, it's 125,098.
Okay, is everybody clear on that? We have do we have a motion and a second to approve? We have a motion to approve.
So made.
This is the salary increases for senior staff for 2013, 2014.
Second.
Okay, any further comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Hebda.
Aye.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
Mayor Byrne.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the village board?
New communication, new business, to
Oh, yeah,
complete
yeah.
the whole agenda.
Oh, yeah. Okay, was there any new business or communication to come before the board? No?
No.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the village board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Hebda.
Aye.
Trustee Cook.
Aye.
Trustee Markwart.
Aye.
Trustee Schultz.
Aye.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you, and good night. Okay.